Superb. A very warm welcome today to Monica Balli, all the way from Italy. She is, like we were just discussing, I mean, her network in terms of the wedding industry is perhaps one of the largest in the world. She's a part of every conference, seminar, event, anywhere in the world. Okay. And, I met Monica bang in the middle of COVID. And I think she also had COVID at that time. Yes. Yeah.
So true.
And she said, "Hey, Arvind, I have to meet you." Okay. So that is Monica for you. And Monica today is going to be talking to us about vendor management, which is a very interesting topic. We have a lot of people who have registered who are going to watch this recording later. But I'm going to ask Aranya to formally introduce us to Monica, and we take this forward from there.
Yes. Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Ananya, and today we have with us Monica Balli. She's from Tuscany, Italy, and she's the founder of Monica Balli Events. She is fondly known as your personal dream maker, and her experience lies in creating events and catering as well. And she loves applying her creativity to every single event and work that she does. She's also a food specialist and a trainer. And today she's going to be speaking to us about vendor management. And I'm sure you're all aware how important it is, vendor selection, the quality of vendors, and building your vendor network. And that's what she's going to be talking to us about today. So over to you, Monica. Please.
Well, thank you so much, Ananya, and thank you so much, Arvind. I mean, first of all, it's really a pleasure being with you. And it's true. I do have quite a large network. Why? Because I like to travel. That's why I go everywhere. I had to do a job that allowed me to travel and just be in every corner because, other than really learning from each other, because that's what you do when you network and when you travel to different destinations, you even have fun. And it's so important to have fun. Look, I want to start with one thing, which I discovered during COVID, but I think it's so important. Remember, you need to enjoy what you do every second, because no matter how rich you are, how wealthy you are, how famous you are, you will never gain back your time. So be sure to use it in the best of all ways. So today we're going to be talking about vendors. Vendors are key, but they're like our team. Vendors are what helps you bring to life your vision. So vendors, there's many different sorts of vendors. I will tell you a little bit on how I select my vendors and how I handpick them, okay? First of all, when you choose your vendor, you already know where you're doing your event, when your event is happening, and also what sort of event it is going to be, because not every vendor is for every event, either for the design, for the hand, but even for the budget. Because your job as a planner is to get the most out of your partner, out of your vendor, for the best of all results for your event, for your client. And you can't do that until you know what is going to happen. Because what is really important is you need to know your budgets, because every vendor has its own design, hand, warehouse, and also starting price. So you need to fit it in and get the most out of it. So vendor selection is key to the success of your business. It is true. Our job is not a solo shop. It's not a solo job. You may have, even if you have a company, I know in India, for example, in the different countries, the weddings and events companies are structured in a very different way. Why? Because of the country mindset, but also because we have to think also about the cost and the value of money. Okay, because for example, in Italy, it's very difficult to have a big full-time team, because that means that your turnover needs to be very, very high, okay? In India, it's slightly different because your the value in terms just of cash flow is totally different. So one thing though that is very, very important, even if I was saying to you, a company like in India has a full production company. So that means they have a huge warehouse. They have painting and the sewing part and the fab, they have everything. You're gonna see that that's not gonna be a one-stop shop, because maybe entertainment, maybe florals, maybe welcome gifting, maybe fireworks. I mean, there's so many things that come as a vendor that just one stop will not make it. So what to do? You have to select, but really handpick what you think is best, but don't judge only on the web, because the web today is a little tricky. It can make you shine if you're good digitally, but that does not mean that you are really good in doing your job, okay? That's very important. Many times, the ugly websites actually have behind the biggest and the best professionals. Why? Because they work on the job. They're not good in marketing and social media. So what's important? When I select my vendors, especially when I do a destination event, is first of all, choose a partner. You have to pick who you think has your own mindset, that you feel comfortable with, that has that target clientele as well as you are having, in order to partner up and be your office on the spot, be your person, the one you trust, okay? Because anybody can look like a bright star, as I was telling you on the web, but you, even if you know that destination, you've traveled there 10 times, you will not know it as a local. You will not know if the catering that's considered the best in town has screwed a client a month before, or if any accidentals happen. That's why you work with somebody local, because you're going to be benefiting in many different ways. First of all is your time. They have all the knowledge that you gain from them. They will select for you. They will introduce you to. Naturally, what you need to do before, they are a vendor and a partner for you. So this means before they open up their books, one, you need to behave. You need to be ethical. You need to be a good business person, because they're going to be opening it for you once, and then they're going to shut it forever if you don't behave. And remember one thing, the wedding and events industry is a very niche and small industry. If you don't behave, the word is going to go out very fast and you're going to be screwed. So not only you need to behave for yourself, because I think that being an ethical person matters a lot in business and in personal life. But second of all, that's going to help you keep on going and grow up the ladder with successes. So first of all, contract your partner on site. Make sure you have a very, very, very clear agreement on who does what, who deals with whom, and the cash flow contracts, and also the payments. Is it a partner? Are you doing 50-50? Is it just a vendor that you're paying? Are you marking it up? Are you buying his time and his knowledge? You know, this is simply business. Either you're selling nails or you're selling cell phones. Now you're buying knowledge. So you have to simply be clear. The more, the clearer, the easier it is, because the problem The only problem you will have with a partner that you have not contracted well is that he has his hands everywhere and is guiding you. So he's the first vendor to have, the first partner to have, but you have to be strict on the contracting. You have to be very, very, very clear and be a win-win situation so that both of you carry to the same door, okay? So once you have done that, you start handpicking the vendors. The vendors are simply the best fit for your client. Could be for your design, for your budget, for their logistics, for how they behave. And it's important to meet them, okay? Either you meet them personally or you meet them even on a virtual call, it's okay. But look at them in the face. See how comfortable you feel. Today we do everything via WhatsApp, okay? WhatsApp is a great tool, but use it just to communicate fast. When you don't know the people, do a FaceTime, do a Zoom call. Now there's this other app I just discovered with a friend called Marco Polo, which is like a WhatsApp, but you send the videos and it stays so that it helps you because everything stays. It's not that you have to go and look for the voice registrations where you have no clue what you said in the thousands you have on WhatsApp. So make sure that you do everything to always, always fall straight on your feet, whatever it happens. So if you behave, if you have all your documents in line, if you pick the right people, you're already at a good start. I mean, you always have to keep your ears up, but at least we're on a good start. So the picking of vendors is essential also for another thing. They are your team on site. And it's going to be your duty to create that team. Because remember, everybody, all the vendors, no matter what, if it's a Michelin star chef, if it's the lighting guy, if it's the florist, if it's the photographer, many times we're dealing with the attitudes. I'm not saying prima donnas, but they like to understand and show you how important they are. And you know what? They are important. They are essential to our event and our job. But like everybody else, you can't do one thing without another. You can't do an event without a catering because it's important. You can't do it without a florist. You can't do it without entertainment. You can't do it without backup plan. So as you see, each vendor, they think to be essential, and it's true. It's true. But your job is to create harmony and create a team. Just look at your event as if you were the orchestra director. All elements are super important, okay? But you need to keep control on them, not give it to them. Otherwise, whoop, they're gonna take it all up. So important, you are in charge of also creating the right mood when you're at the event. So that could be friendly, that could be having fun. People need to understand that they need to help each other if there's a problem. On events, it's normal to have last minute issues and problems. And actually, if you don't, keep your ears up because it's right behind the corner, okay? There's always something,
Right.
always. So you have to have a team that helps you, backing you up, helping you out, making you shine, because the best team you have, the more it will make you shine, the better you will look in the industry. Okay, that's how I do it. My teams, they're 1,000 times better than I am. And I always go for the best of the best. And somebody says, aren't you afraid they're going to get your client? I said, no, we're a team. It's very, very straightforward what our agreements are. And also, I take care of the full design. They just take care of 5%. What's the problem? I just have to make sure that 5% fits in and becomes important to the 100%. That's our job as a planner, okay? If you're a producer, that's totally different. If you're a designer, everything's totally different. So it's really, really important to understand who are you? Because today many are everything. You can't do everything and be up top. Just doesn't work that way. It's really, honestly, you don't even want to do it because it's really too much work, really too much. But you can partner up and have people help you out to be the best. That's what I love to do. Also because it makes you work in a way that you enjoy. You're much more relaxed. And the things come out much better when you're relaxed and you're having fun and you're creating a good team because of the good vibes that are around. You may believe in good vibes, you may not believe in good vibes, but I tell you one thing. If I come up to your face and I'm all grindy and mad and everything, you're gonna go, whoa. But if I come up and I'm smiling at you and laughing out, you're just gonna smile. It's normal. And that's how everything goes, in life, not only in work. Always look at yourself as in a mirror. That's how you reflect. So even the way you treat your vendors, you could become tomorrow somebody else's vendor. We are all working in B2B and B2C. So treat them and do your team as you would like them to be. So when building a relationship, what happens? Sometimes the worst fights create the best friendships, okay? Even if a vendor is considered to be the top notch in their field, that does not mean that you have to accept everything they say. It's your client, it's your design, it's your show. You decide what's going on and what's not going on, how the vendors behave, their timing, when they go to eat, and how they have to be dressed. You can decide anything you want. You just need to be very clear, very polite, because if you scream other than being polite, I think they're gonna listen to you more if you're polite rather than screaming. And just make sure that show runs as you want it to be. How? Being super organized. Vendors are not going to be doing their job. They just are the hands-on of your job. Your job is to be on top of each of your vendors, making sure they do the design as you like it, do the pricing, etc., that you agree with it, that their timing falls exactly into your schedule, both for the setup and the dismantle, or if there's something happening in between that they need to be present full time. You run the show. So at the end, that's why I tell you, our job is a team. Because if you think about it, I'm working with a florist. Oh my God, I tried to do a bouquet, and you don't want to see what came out. Trust me, my ideal bouquet is one flower because that's the only thing I can put together. So what happens is that you have to be not only in charge, but you have to be right on it. Know exactly, so that the supplier, they order the flowers, they put their skills and their hands at service for your event, doing the best and most beautiful creations. But you are managing their time. And you are managing their time, remember, listening to their needs. Because sometimes we as planners don't realize the amount and the problems there are with certain things. Just think, for example, I was just speaking today with Dubai. Just think about doing a summer event outdoors in Dubai. I mean, how are the flowers going to survive? As soon as you put a flower out in Dubai in July, it goes just like dies.
How will the human beings survive?
I don't know. Exactly. So, you need to, and honestly, look, sometimes I really get fascinated when I speak like to top florists and they explain to me the technique of how they transport and how they move. And it's not just getting a refrigerated band. It's a lot more than that. And that's why I tell you, according to the need you have, you are lucky because you don't have to rely only on yourself. You can rely on the best of the best that's out there. You just need to handpick it, and be part of your team. So vendors are very, very important. But remember, you're always the one running the show and your name is going to be on it. So it's not going to be only on what your clients see, but also on how your vendors perceive you. And that's going to be your future.
Superb. I keep telling my students in the institute that we have to remember one thing, that you are the event planner. As long as you know that you are the event planner, everything else falls into shape. Because all our vendors, and whom we call vendors, which actually is not a nice word, we call them partners, because without these people, we will not be able to do anything. But one of the biggest things that you said earlier in the conversation, Monica, is however large a go down you may have, right? And how many ever paintings and so many things that you may have, you will have to have your partners in place. They will have to bring in your various elements that you have designed, because you cannot have everything, right? You cannot have everything. And you have to be able to work. And apart from that, from artists to DJs to photographers to and what have we for a wedding, there are so many other things that are required. But tell me a little bit more about categorization of these vendors or partners. How would you categorize based on cost, quality, etc.? You want to expand a bit on this, Monica?
Well, in terms of categorizing, I can tell you that, for example, when we contract the client, we have two different sorts of suppliers. So in terms of the client can decide if they want to contract the suppliers directly. So this means that they are fully in charge. They have to pay deposits and balances, keep an eye, and every time the date is due, make sure they balance out. And otherwise, we also act as bank, we can say. So everything goes through us, and then we pay everybody. Usually clients prefer to have this solution because naturally the vendors know us, so we don't have to be so detailed in all the different deposits. And also we like to give the balances on the event date most times or the day after, just to make sure that everything's running smooth. Most of the suppliers will require a prepayment, which is normal because, especially when working on destinations, until the event date, everybody's eager to pay you, to love you, to whatever you. Once the event is done, everybody boom, 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 runs away. So remember one thing. If you're doing an event and you're handling the cash, make sure you got everything. We have at least 30 to 45 days before event that everything has to be paid, okay? Because you want to make sure. So even when you contract vendors, okay, no matter what, okay, and they're passing through you, you have to make sure about one thing, that your policy, so terms and conditions, can englobe the supplier. So if the supplier, for example, has, you have normally a 30% deposit. The vendor asks for a 50% deposit. You can't just keep your conditions. So either you speak to the vendor and you say, hey, my conditions are this. Are you willing to? Yes or no? Or you have to make sure that you change on your booking form that condition, because otherwise you're going to be taking cash out of your pockets to fund the vendor, and that's not what you want to do. Okay, never put cash out from your pockets before, which might seem a little struggly or a little stupid as a rule, but keep it as a rule, because there's always going to be that one client, two clients. But when you say this is company policy, nobody's going to say anything to you. Okay, so company policy is always welcome. As I was telling you, so conditions, you have to make sure for the conditions, for the deposit, for the balance. Sometimes their balance is 60 days before event, and you're just getting the payment 30 days or 45. Doesn't work. You have to make sure that on the contract for that, it says exactly, actually, if it's 60 days, you will take it 70 days, because you always have to think that first, clients are never on time.
Right.
Second of all, by the time they instruct their bank to make a wire, if it's domestic, it's going to be a couple of days, one day. If it's international, it's going to take more than that, especially unless they have a value, an external exchange value account. So, and that could even take up to 7 days or 10 days.
Sure.
So you need to cover up yourself so that you always fall on your feet. So that's very important. And I can tell you another thing. With clients, as I was telling you, we have two sorts of vendors, of partners. Not because one's less important than the other, okay? It's just they're different. Because there are those vendors that are essential for your event. So think about entertainment, AV, think about catering, flowers, and production. Why are they essential? Because if anything happens last minute, you have no idea where to get them, or at least you're going to be struggling a lot to substitute them, okay? So imagine a florist comes in that the couples chose. It's not one of your partners. And they had a beautiful website. This happened to me actually 15 years ago. Beautiful website, beautiful. They came to do a job. I can tell you that their vases, there were like holes of missing flowers. So I told them, why are we missing flowers? Because in their budget, that's the maximum they could afford to put in. I said, but you did it wrong. You just had to do them smaller or just add some greenery. We're in the countryside. No, this is how we do them. So the name on the event was mine. I could have done two things: leave it like that and totally spoil my reputation, or go in the gardens and in the woods, start cutting with scissors and knife stuff and start plugging them in, becoming a last minute florist. Naturally, I did the second one. The result was actually pretty good, but trust me, that was my first and last time. I learned the lesson. I really learned the lesson. So those essential vendors have to be from your team, because you need to trust them blindfolded that they're going to do an amazing job. Okay, the food, the decor, the flowers, the AV, the technicians, the entertainment. Then comes a part of vendors that if your client really wants to pick on their own, it's okay. Example, photographer. Naturally, we love having good pictures. If she really wants a photographer, just tell her perfect. I will conduct him, put him in the schedule, do everything, but I will not be responsible for his work. Why? There has been people today, it's easy to become a photographer online with an iPhone, okay? This guy that this couple got, it wasn't my couple, okay? It was from a colleague. He did all the pictures, cutting off the heads.
Oh my God.
So I can tell you one thing, I am sorry for the couple, but honestly, that wasn't my fault and I have nothing to do with that, okay? So all those things that the couples or your clients pick that does not interfere at any level with the quality of the turnout of your event, that's what I consider the vendors that the client can pick and choose. But there's very few. Video, photo, things that are personal, welcome gift, hair, makeup. I mean, I'm sorry if the hair and makeup is not nice and she looks like a drag, but that's not gonna be my fault, okay? So it's important to, naturally, what we do is always try to have all our teams on. Why? Just because working with your teams, you're gonna see in time, especially, it's gonna make you feel more at ease, more comfortable, and you know the result. You know you're gonna be, it's gonna be already, your starting point is already gonna be excellence. And you can only go above that. So that's what you want to have when you're working, not be worried because you don't know if somebody's gonna be doing their job or not, or even show up. Because many times I've seen the problem that many people don't show up, which is insane, okay? But that doesn't mean another thing. When you have your good vendors, okay, most of your good vendors, think about teams like florists. Think about teams as AV, okay? They're not one person, they are a team themselves. They're already a number depending on the sort of job they have to do. So your vision on how they have to behave is not for the one, which is the head. You have to make sure that the head transmits it to the whole team, which could be for each vendor a team of 30. So ending up with 200 people on setup is a second, if you think about it. And all of you need to have your mindset. That's why working before is essential. Have the rules straight up, written down, and clear is your life savior, okay? Our jobs on any sorts of events, especially on destination weddings and weddings, you can't say, hey, I'm sorry, I'll see you tomorrow because I got this thing going on, which isn't exactly right. Nuh-uh, doesn't work that way. It has to be right, has to be the best, no matter what. So your team helps you just shine. You know how many times we have issues in the back, but nobody notices? Because if you're compact, that's what it really makes a difference. Your client does not notice. And remember one other thing, which we never think about. The guests have no clue of what's gonna happen. So you could change around everything you want, even last minute, if there's a need. So be elastic also on your mindset. Your agenda is important, your timing is essential, but your brain working at that exact time is much more important, together with your guts. Look around, see what's happening, okay? Because when you have the skills to run the show, you're gonna have the skills to adjust the show to make it better. Sometimes it's just seconds away, really. So these are my two little vendors tips. And one other thing that is very important, you have to behave well. You know, vendors, they're doing the work for us. And like you want to be paid, they want to be paid. So once you agree a price, don't start bargaining when you're paying it. I know Indians love doing it.
We are
But
the
when you
best.
come out, you're gonna have out of India is gonna be totally different. So try to keep exactly the things are bargain before as much as you want. Fight,
Yeah.
pull the hair, do whatever. But once you have a signature, you have to agree on your word.
This is really, really good stuff. And for all the wannabes of event management and wedding planning, I want to point out something very interesting and very important that Monica said. Be sure for a wedding to collect all your money in advance. This is very important. And Monica says 60 days, 90 days in advance, 70 days in advance. Okay. In our country, it doesn't work so well. But collect your money in advance, because once the couple goes for the honeymoon, that is the end of the story. We don't know what is going to happen next, right? We have no idea, and it's all done and dusted. Very different from doing a corporate event. Very different. In a corporate event, you have a purchase order, you have a contract, they will pay you after 30, 60, 90 days. In our country, Monica, a corporate might pay you after 60 days, after 90 days, but that's okay because you have a order, you have a purchase order, you have a
Exactly.
contract, you have a document.
But it's important that you start working with your contracts, even in the wedding industry. So even if a vendor does not do contracts, you will have your draft contract, putting inside what is needed, and that becomes the contract with the vendor. At the end, you just need to make sure that you are covered with your client. Because if you have your word that counts, every vendor is going to be okay with a shake of hand. Okay, and that's going to be your reputation.
Right.
But with clients, it's different. Your reputation just helps you get the business. It doesn't help you get the payment.
Right.
Okay, so you have to take care of everybody else that has been trusting you by giving their labor. So that's why it's really important, even if you don't collect all your money before, which anyhow, I suggest that you find a way, because everybody is now, and that even in India, it's changing.
Right.
But have contracts, signed contracts, deposits.
Perfect. Perfect.
If not, you can, I don't know if they exist in India, there may be insurances.
Yes, we have insurances, we have contracts, we have everything, but weddings is a little a dicey affair if you have not collected your money in advance. That's all I have to say on the advance bit. Please collect your money way before the wedding in full. Don't say that, well, after the wedding I will collect 10% or 10% on the day of the wedding or 1 week before the wedding. It doesn't work that way. And a lot of our colleagues in India have got their hands bitten and have lost a lot of money because of this. And then they come to people like us who run associations in this country and say this happened and that happened. But there's nothing you can do.
Can I tell you one thing? If you have a difficult client and in your country you cannot pick up everything, just do another thing. Just go around the problem, okay? Just don't go through it. If you go through a hotel with all the services coming from the hotel, they will issue all the contracts.
Right.
You will have your commission.
Right.
But they will take the risk. And with the hotel, trust me, they will ask prepayment. I don't think there's many hotels that are willing to act as a bank.
Right.
Towards an event, okay? So if you see that you're having difficulties, just change it around the way you work. But find a way to be safe until you have your documents in place, or you have your mindset in place, or you feel comfortable doing it another way. It could be any property. Usually properties, especially the big ones or the chain ones, are very strict. So that helps you because they do the job for you.
What a brilliant idea that is, what Monica just said. And especially this is for people who are starting off in the business, right? When you started off a business, latch on to a hotel. Let the hotel pay you. Let the hotel charge the client, right?
Exactly.
A fantastic idea. What an idea. Okay.
Even if you're handling the client, if you're still making a commission out of the services, the property is contracting for you, and your fee, always charge your fee, because that's going to tell how much you're worth, okay? But even if you get it later on, or for any reason you don't get it, you still fall in your fee. What's important is that you don't take cash out of your pocket to pay your vendors. That just means you earned a little less.
I'm going to say something more here to what Monica said. Always charge a fee. If your sister is getting married, or your brother is getting married, or somebody in the family is getting married, always charge a fee, because people have to know you as a professional, right? And again, Monica said, you may or may not get paid, but always charge a fee, right? And even within the family, people got to know who you are and where you come from. Super.
When you put a fee out there and you tell what that is, you're telling them that you are a professional, no matter what. The problem is, if you're doing it as a favor to your friends or to your family, being the best will never be enough. And the time and the effort that will take is going to be 10 times a regular client. I know it's very different. It's very difficult. It's very difficult doing it, but try, because what you get from it is so much more benefit, really. And they're going to be respecting you more. Funny, but that's how it works.
Absolutely.
People give value on what they pay. For example, if you go in a shop and you go to the market and you buy a bag that is $10, yes, it's a beautiful bag, but it's $10. If you go inside Louis Vuitton and you pay for $3,000, you're going to be a little more careful. So people value upon the price. Remember that. And naturally, the value you give to that price needs to be there, and clients want you to exceed that. But nobody can tell you you're worth this or you're worth that. You have to know.
We are 47 minutes into the conversation, and Monica is, as you can see, is abundance of knowledge. Okay, and so much she has spent with us, so much time talking about vendor management. I want to throw this open to the public, people who want to ask in any questions. It would be interesting for you to ask some questions. Any questions coming up?
Hi, ma'am. My name is Rashmita.
Hi.
Yeah. So I have three questions actually. First one is, what are the few things that you have to keep in mind while structuring a contract between a vendor and us?
Well, the first thing, you always have to make sure it's a win-win contract, and that the conditions are, first of all, that the vendor gives you what you want, and second of all, that the conditions going out are suitable, both for you paying your vendor, and for you towards your client. But there's loads of sampling contracts that you can find from vendors, that you can find from on the web. So it's easy to look for them.
But what are the key points you keep in mind while creating a contract?
So the key points are the delivery, what they have to give me, what I ordered, okay? The conditions they're giving me for what I ordered, which means both delivery non-show, payments, and so on. And then for the event itself, what sort of time frame or how I fit it into my timing, and naturally payments.
My second question is, we make a few mistakes while choosing our vendors initially. So what are the minute things that we need to keep in mind and not make these mistakes?
Look, mistakes is what makes you grow. It's impossible not to do mistakes. Don't look at them as mistakes, but look at them as something to learn to do better. And trust me, once you start doing a contract, and for some reason there was that little one thing you did not think about, oh my God, you will remember that next time. So that's how you grow, unfortunately. So you just learn, but what's missing in your contracts every time? You try to do your best. If you really are unsure and you need help, you can ask a lawyer to help you out. But look at yourself as you were the vendor or the client and see what's missing there. If you think everything's covered, most likely it is. You just feel that you need to feel that you are safe within that contract.
That's it. Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody else wants to ask a question? Surabhi, you want to ask something? Yes, no?
So my question was answered. The second question that Rashmit asked.
Oh, both of you are asking same questions. Anybody else with some questions? Dharmet, Trishti, anybody else? Okay, superb. So this has been an absolutely fantastic session, Monica, and we're going to also be discussing a lot of other things over a period of time. I'm sure our collaboration is going to be huge. IEC is something that we will talk about, and I want all these kids to know about it. But we'll talk about that another day. I will thank you, Monica. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. I am looking forward to collaborating, talking to you, getting to know more. And of course, Espousal is there and we're doing Espousal together. I'm going to tell Ananya to quickly say something and we will wind up the session because we are at 50 minutes and we like to keep this between 45 to 55 minutes so that, it's short and crisp and a lot of people then watch it.
That was a very interesting session, Monica. I think you've given all the viewers present here today some very valuable insights into the topic of vendor management, something we probably wouldn't have known otherwise. So thank you. I would like to thank you for taking out the time to be here today with us. And it was a pleasure. And we're looking forward to our collaboration with you. Thank you.
It was indeed my pleasure. Thank you so much. And even if just one little thing came home with you guys, it was totally worth it.
Fantastic.
For